I never believed in ghosts, but what happened at Blackwood Manor changed me forever. I inherited the estate from my great-uncle, a man I had never met. The sprawling Victorian mansion sat atop the cliffs of Blackwood Bay, shrouded in mystery. My mother warned me against going. Some places are meant to be left alone, she said, but I was intrigued. I arrived at dusk, pushing through the rusted gates. The house loomed before me, its silhouette jagged against the sky. As I stepped inside, the air was thick with dust and something else, something watching. The floors groaned under my weight, and the chandelier above the grand staircase trembled. Faded portraits lined the walls, their painted eyes following me. I brushed off my unease as exhaustion. That night, I barely slept. The house was alive with the sounds. The distant tap of footsteps, the rustling of fabric, and a whisper so faint it might have been the wind, or something else. The next morning I explored the attic. Among yellowed letters in the old journals, I found one that chilled me. They do not rest. The past is a wound, and this house is its scar. The name Eleanor Blackwood appeared often. She had been the daughter of the original owner, promised to a wealthy suitor but in love with a servant. Her father discovered their secret and locked her away in the tower until she came to her senses. But one night she vanished. The room was found in ruins, the windows shattered, and dark streaks on the walls hinted at something terrible. That night, I awoke to weeping. It wasn't coming from the hallway or the floor below. It was inside my room. My breath hitched. In the dim moonlight, a figure stood at the foot of my bed. Long, dark hair tangled over a white nightgown. Her shoulders trembled as she sobbed. "Eleanor," I whispered. She froze. The air turned icy, my breath visible. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes were hollow voids, and her mouth stretched open in a silent scream. The room plunged into darkness. I woke at dawn, my body drenched in sweat. Had it been a dream? But when I pulled back the covers, my fingers brushed against something cold. A single white flower, wilted but real. Determined to understand what was happening, I searched further. Hidden in a false panel of my great-uncle's desk, I found an old newspaper article detailing Blackwood Manor's past. Accusations of cruelty, whispers of missing servants, and one chilling line. "The cries of the lost still echo in the halls." That night I sat in the candlelit study and called her name. The flames flickered violently. Then, from the shadows, she emerged. "Help me," she rasped. My breath caught. "How?" She lifted a trembling hand, pointing to the tower, the one door in the house that refused to open. Summoning my courage, I climbed the stairs. The door creaked open at my touch. Inside, the air was stale, thick with decay. And there, in the corner, lay the truth. Bones. Shackles still clung to the skeleton's wrists. A locket rested beside it, its clasp broken. Inside was a tiny portrait of Eleanor, her eyes forever sad. "I'm sorry," I whispered. The room grew warmer, the weight in the air lifting. When I turned, Eleanor stood in the doorway. But this time she wasn't weeping. She smiled, soft, grateful, and then she was gone. The next morning the house felt different. The shadows weren't as deep, the silence not as suffocating. When I left, I felt a peace I hadn't known since I arrived. Blackwood Manor still stands, perched on its lonely cliff, but it no longer holds its ghosts. And as for me, I no longer scoff at things that go bump in the night. Some stories demand to be told. Some spirits just need to be heard.